All right, so Brian and I are very excited to be here today speaking to you guys. This is actually one of our first times in Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta like many years ago, but our first time here together. We fished on Lake Lanier today actually. First time I caught a freshwater striped bass. I caught a spotted bass, which I've never caught before, and then I also caught a nice sized crappie as well. And today was a blast, and we had a blast on the water with catch and not fishing charters with Captain Clay. And yeah, we caught fish, we made a video, so it was awesome. And then we're here at the seminar for you guys, and we're very excited to be here today speaking to you all. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, but my name is Darcy Arahill from Darcizzle Offshore, and this is Brian Bedell, my boyfriend, and also my partner in our business that we created together. And I am a third generation Floridian. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and I'm the oldest of 5 children. And I started saltwater fishing at the age of 3 years old. My dad started taking me fishing, and I know a lot of you guys aren't familiar with Florida, but like Miami, Key Biscayne area, kind of like right where the Keys begin. We had a little boat that we used to take out. We used to catch mangrove snappers and lobstering. Just have a lot of awesome memories growing up doing that with my dad. And unfortunately, my dad passed away last year. So I have a lot of awesome memories with him, and that's where my passion comes from. So basically moving forward, about 8 years ago, I moved up to the Boynton Beach, Florida, part of Florida, which is about two hours north of Miami, and we started fishing together. We have 2 boats. We have a 23-foot Proline Super Sport, so that's where the name Darcizzle Offshore comes from, because we mainly do a lot of offshore fishing, deep sea fishing out of Boynton Beach, Florida, but we recently added a second boat to our fleet a couple years back, a 21-foot release flats boat. So we do a mixture of inshore saltwater fishing and offshore, but again, we mainly focus on the deep sea fishing. This time of year, it's really rough out there with the northern cold fronts we have and the northern winds, and it really picks up the seas. So if we had a little bit of a bigger boat, we'd be out there more frequently, but this time of the year, it's just tough for us to get out there. So we focus a lot more on the type of fishing we can do throughout the year. So right now we've been doing a lot more inshore just because the weather doesn't allow us to get offshore this time of the year. And basically what we do is I'm a full-time female angler, and we create full-time YouTube videos online. We teach people how to go fishing. We are big into promoters of women and kids fishing, veterans fishing. We just want to show the world that girls can do this too. And we started an Instagram page, we started an Instagram page about 2012 and kind of just built this business out of nowhere. And you know, I had no idea we'd be doing what we're doing today, but it's my passion. I love it. Brian loves being on the boat, and we quit our full-time jobs 4 years ago to follow our dreams and create awesome videos. So without Brian making up videos and filming, and he's in a lot of the videos now too, like you would not see what you see online today without him.
I love you, Puddin'.
So, yeah, Brian, also known as Puddin' on our YouTube channel, and he kind of got that nickname a couple years back, Puddin'. So a lot of people know him as Cooking with Puddin'. We do a lot more catch, clean, cook videos in today's world, and we kind of do a lot of fishing, Florida fishing. We go to the Florida Keys quite a bit. We go to the Bahamas. We kind of travel as much as we possibly can, and we're just having a blast again out there following our dreams. So today's seminar, I normally do a seminar mainly talking about our inshore snook fishing that we do down in Florida. It is a really popular fish that everyone in Florida wants to catch. So I kind of want to give you guys a little general overview about snook fishing, and then I want to leave a little extra time like at the end. Well, talk about snook fishing, and then also talk about like the different lures I like to use for snook, and we'll also talk about other fish species you can catch on these lures we have on this table here. And then I'll leave a little extra time at the end for like Q&A from you guys, so that way you can ask me more particular questions if it's about deep sea fishing or whatever it is. But I don't want to spend too much time on snook because I'm sure you guys want to hear like a lot more than that.
Yes.
So yeah, go ahead.
Who wants to hear about offshore fishing?
Yeah.
How about inshore fishing?
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
it's about equal.
All right.
And for the offshore guys, are you trolling or are you live baiting? Yes. All right.
Both? Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we'll kind of.
She'll do a little bit on the inshore, and
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about like what our standard trolling setup is.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll touch on some live baiting stuff, and then of course, like she said, spend a lot of time on some questions for whatever you guys want to talk about, and we'll be here till till the end of the
Yeah.
meeting or whatever long you guys want to do.
Yeah.
We're staying right upstairs, so we got nowhere to go.
Yeah. We live in Florida, so you guys live in Atlanta, so like we're not really sure what you guys want to talk about,
Right.
so that's why we kind of asked you those questions. Okay, so let's get started. So again, I'm going to talk about snook real quick here. Basically, we're going to discuss the best times of year for snook fishing and what kind of snook are doing throughout a given calendar year. Then we're going to talk about where to find snook that are actually biting, and then we'll just move into the different types of artificial baits that actually work for me in our fishing. We'll talk about some live baits that work for me in our fishing, and then we'll kind of throw in other fish that we've caught on these lures and move into the offshore stuff too. So for the given calendar year, like right now in the middle of, well, February, this is considered our winter months in Florida. So basically from like November to March is really when our water temperatures are the coolest in Florida. So our snook are a little bit more lethargic. Snook are more of a summertime fish. They're a lot more active and aggressive in our summer months. They really like that warm water, and they'll chase topwater lures. They get really aggressive. So right now you can catch them. I catch them all the time. We just caught a monster 42-inch snook last week with my brother actually when he was visiting on leave. It doesn't mean you can't catch them. They're just going to be a little more lethargic, and you really want to put a bait like right in front of their face this time of the year. Then we move into April. April and September is like the prime time months to catch snook in Florida. Whether you want to catch your first snook, your 100th snook, your biggest snook of your life, this is going to be the time to do it. Mainly because all of the snook are basically migrating into our inlets and passes throughout Florida on the East Coast and on the West Coast. We live, I forgot to mention, but we live Boynton Beach, Florida, basically just south of West Palm Beach, Florida, so we're like in a prime zone for where the snook are. And again, they're congregating in the thousands in our inlets and passes, and that's where they spawn during the new and full moons. So this is like a prime time of the year to catch them. Mainly June, July, and August is when the spawning is going on the heaviest. So you go out to the inlets and passes, you put a live bait down, and they are so aggressive and hungry that you'll catch snook after snook after snook. But it's this time of the year that the snook season is closed, so you can't keep snook. This also basically helps our fishery, grow longer. You don't want to keep killing fish that are spawning, so you release these big, healthy, giant female snook all the time throughout the summertime, and it's a blast. So really, April, September is going to be your prime months to catch them. Then we move into the end of September, and this is when the snook are like slowly migrating out of the inlets and passes after they're done spawning, and they're moving back into our rivers, into our inlets and intercoastal waterways, back into the mangroves where they live year-round. So they're kind of just slowly working their ways back into where they live for the rest of the year until the next spawning season. And then we move in September and October, and this is the most exciting time of the year in my opinion. This is the mullet run, and the mullet run can be fished by the beach and also on the beach side and also in the intercoastal waterway. But the world-renowned mullet migration is basically a giant migration of live bait fish, live mullet, that travel down the eastern seaboard of the United States. And what they do is they come into the intercoastal waterways, and they work their way down. But as they're doing that, there's giant predators following them and gorging on these fish. So giant sharks, tarpon, kingfish come close to the beach, bluefish, snook, giant jack crevalles. Everything is following these packs of mullet, and they're blowing them up, and it's some of the most exciting fishing I've ever done. If you guys have watched my videos, we have like over 700 videos on our YouTube channel for you guys to check out. But we have a lot of mullet run fishing, and you just see these like waves of mullet getting chased up onto the shoreline. You just see thousands of them leaping out of the water trying to escape the jaws of the predators. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a blast to catch, and also snook too. And when you see them aggressively feeding, you want to throw topwater lures at them and stuff. And I also forgot to mention too, a quick fact about snook. Snook are actually hermaphrodites, if you didn't know. So all of them are born males. And then there's a certain time period where some of them change sex into females. And I don't know what causes that. I'm not a scientist, but basically it usually happens from age 1 to age 7 years of age. In between there is when they'll change sex, or a minimum of 12 inches long to a maximum of 35 inches long. So a lot of the smaller fish you see that are under slot range, a slot fish in Florida is a minimum of 28 inches long to a maximum of 32 inches long. So during snook season, you can only keep them within that 4-inch range. And then any smaller or bigger, you have to release that fish. So a slot fish is usually about the size males will get. Males won't get much bigger than that. But the giant females, huge snook you see, those are all female, huge, healthy female breeder snook. So you want to take good care of them. And again, we caught a monster female a couple weeks ago with my brother. So now we'll talk about we'll talk about basically where to find the snook, and the snook fishing is all about current. This applies to most fishing we do, especially with the offshore fishing too. We're always making sure that we have current out there, but current is the #1 factor. You want to have moving water, mainly because snook are an ambush predator, so they really like to use the current to their advantage. They're lazy. They like to sit there kind of close to wherever the current is moving fastest, or just on the outside of where the current is moving fastest. And what I'm talking about is like the pilings, the docks, the structures, the oyster beds, the deep water channels. They're going to be hanging out wherever you see current is ripping. They're usually going to be close by, and they're going to be sitting there, and they're waiting for that water to push bait fish to them. Bait fish cannot swim or stay in one spot in fast moving water. They get pushed wherever the current takes them. Snook can sit there and wait patiently. So snook will wait for the bait fish to get pushed to their face, and then that's when they'll ambush them. So that's really when you want to target snook in Florida. And again, you just want to look for any moving water, incoming, outgoing tide, anywhere where you see structure. Snook really like to use the structure to their advantage. And also the best snook fishing is really usually at night. They're basically a, what's the term? They're a nocturnal fish. They love to feed at night. We don't do a whole lot of night fishing, mainly because it's like impossible to get a good video. People don't really like to watch night videos. It's impossible to film it right. So we do a lot, but we do all of our fishing during the day, but that doesn't stop us from catching plenty of snook. We catch plenty of them during the day, giant ones throughout the year. But again, just like the best time is usually nighttime, and you're usually fishing those shadow lines underneath dock lights, underneath the bridges, the docks, the structures, pilings. And again, they really just use that structure to the advantage and kind of hang out under there. And it's a blast. We love it. So now let's talk about well, I guess we can start moving, passing out the lures. Yeah, you want to talk? Okay, so now we're talking about the lures, but for like our given day of fishing, when we go inshore fishing and we put our boat at the ramp, the first thing I have tied on is a topwater lure. And we're usually at the boat ramp early. We're usually there about an hour before official sunrise, so it's still dark out. And I'll have Brian tell you a little bit about this topwater that I like to throw.
All right, great. This is the Uzuri, this is a hydro pencil, right?
Yeah.
This is the Uzuri hydro pencil. This is really the hot color. This is bronze, I guess.
Yeah,
I
it's
out. Some of the lures we don't have, and they don't have hooks because of TSA.
Yeah.
We didn't
check the bag. They won't let us take hooks.
Right, so we don't have
We
hooks.
didn't want our lures
We can hand that one around, and that,
Yeah.
usually at the night before, actually, because obviously the daylight or the morning goes away really fast. So the night before, she's gonna have that tied on, and another lure we'll get to next. But that's a walk the dog lure, and very simple, very similar to one everyone knows is the Hedon Spook, which everyone has and uses forever. But that's kind of the hot one in South Florida right now, is that hydro pencil. And it comes in a ton of colors, but that's the one all the hot shots are using catching big fish.
Yeah, and I'll just cast that parallel to structure, again, parallel to seawalls, docks, under bridges, kind of skip it underneath docks too, and kind of just work it in the dark, and you'll be surprised at what you catch right before sunrise. Usually low light conditions are best for topwater lures, so that's going to be, right before sunrise and right at sunset, the last light is going to be best. And I've caught giant jack crevalles on that lure, monster snook, bluefish, even catfish have ate that lure. I have caught a variety of inshore fish species on that topwater lure. And again, that's a Uzuri hydro pencil in the bronze color. And for whatever reason, like most charter captains and hardcore fishermen in Florida are just strictly using that color. They love it, and it works great. The hooks that come with it too work great as well. And so now, after the sun is coming up during the day, and we have the sun up about 8 or 9 o'clock, I stop usually throwing the topwater lure, and I usually tie something else on because I want to get deeper in the water column to where the fish are hanging out. Yeah. And then the next thing I'll usually tie on is a DOA Terrorize. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. With the DOA Terrorize, it just looks like a piece of plastic. I can't believe how well this thing works.
It works great.
I have seen her catch 80-pound tarpon, every snook in the world, every jack crevalle in the world,
Yes.
lugfish or moonfish, mangrove snapper,
Black grouper,
a little black grouper, a dog snapper,
Yeah.
keeper size snappers.
Giant.
Literally everything. I don't know why, but this has an action, and it gets rigged with a jig head that comes from DOA as well. And DOA is a local company in Stuart, Florida. They make all these, and they're centered down there, and they may have them. I guess they have them all over the place, but they're super popular where we are. And they have them in a ton of different colors, and the little jigs that come with it are different weights, of course, with big red eyes. Maybe that's part of the attraction. And of course, we got the dark ones here. And typically, the conventional wisdom is you're going to use a dark one in dark water and in dark conditions for light, and the lighter one when it's cleaner and sunnier. The idea being that the silhouette is stronger when when it's darker. This looks like really black, and this one looks more like a bait fish and more in the light. So that's the conventional wisdom, but whatever you're comfortable with and throwing well and getting a good action on is what's really going to work. So I'll just hand these around.
Yeah, so I usually throw that again like first thing in the morning, and I'll throw it like really in deep channels where I'm trying to get down where there's moving water. I really let it sink, especially if you're fishing deep water. Really let it sink to the bottom a few seconds. And I usually use a method using a twitch, pause, retrieval method. So I'll twitch the rod tip twice, like little small movements, nothing crazy. Pause, let that lure fall back down, and it really mimics an injured bait fish. And again, like, it doesn't look like it has much action, it doesn't look like a lot, but it darts all over the water, and it really just mimics an injured bait fish perfectly. And again, like, it's just amazing what that little tiny thing has caught. I mean, again, like the 80-pound tarpon, just crazy things have been caught on that lure, and now I throw it like wherever I'm at. And he's passing one around, that's my favorite color right now, and I kind of don't want to change it to anything else. It has like a red chin, a green avocado back, and a like gold body on it. And this one too, so DOA also makes another bait as our artificial lure as well. This is the Bait Buster. That's the Terrorize that we're passing around. The Bait Buster is a little bit of a bigger presentation, as you can see, but it also kind of mimics like your finger mullet. Finger mullet, are like the size of your finger in Florida is what we call them. So, and he really has a lot of tail action in it, and it's foolproof. Like the most inexperienced fisherman can fish that bait. I've heard that from a lot of charter captains. You cast that out, you can work the bottom of the water column, reel it in very slowly. Usually tarpon like stuff presented to them very slowly, so like barely just dragging it on the bottom, almost like you're worm fishing for bass. Kind of just have to have patience when you're fishing that lure, or you can bring it up mid water column and fish it that way, or just bring it up to the surface. If you see fish rolling or blowing up or whatever they're doing on the surface feeding, you can fish it on the top too. So that's another great bait that we've been throwing as well. And again, underneath docks, structures, deep water channels. Brian just caught a big snook on it last week when we were fishing a dock in Boyan.
Yeah.
But I mean, for whatever reason, these just kill it. So I really love the Bait Buster, I really love the Terrorize. And again, that's just to get deeper in the water column as that sun comes up during the day, because you really need to find out what the fish want. So start with a steady retrieve, maybe a little slower, maybe a little faster, throw in the twitch, pause. You really have to see how the fish want it presented to them that day. That's all about fishing, because it changes day to day. So you might figure it out today and you're like, oh, I know exactly what these fish want, and then or how they want it presented to them. And then you go out the next day and you do the same thing and you're not getting any bites. So then you got to switch it up and figure out, okay, what do they really want today? So it's really just like a learning curve constantly, and you're constantly learning out there on the water. So did you pass that one around?
Right, I'll pass this one around, but I just want to mention that, when Darcy and I are out there fishing, she's maybe throwing that little Terrorize, and I'm throwing something, either this or something different. The point is, don't be out there with your buddy throwing the same lures. I mean, you want to see what's going on out there, and and throw different stuff, so you guys know. And then when one gets hit, then you know. And also, not only the color, but the size. You got to check the baits out there. And if you're fishing down in Florida and there's mullet around or pilchards or whatever it is, you want to try and match the hatch. Everyone hears that all the time, but it's important. And so you have different size baits. Don't get the soft plastics. You have all a million different sizes. But mix it up, guys, and just have a lot of patience. These want to get to the bottom a lot. And it's particularly this one, you're almost going to roll it like a worm. Like most of you guys probably bass fish before, and worm fishing drives me nuts because I can't take it.
He doesn't have patience for it.
But the slower the better with this one.
Yeah. And then another great, our soft plastic, our artificial bait is going to be the Gambler Lures. Gambler Lures is also based in Florida. They've been around for years. They've really become well known for their baits, especially when it comes to bass fishing on Lake Okeechobee. A lot of guys swear by it and love them, but they're also great for saltwater. So these are the easy swimmers. Gambler Lure Easy Swimmers. They make a variety of different sizes. This is like the standard size they first came out with. And then they have like a little easy, a tiny easy, and then even giant like 12-inch baits that you can pick from. And again, they have dozens and dozens of colors to choose from on their website. But the main reason why this bait is so good is because it really has a segment that's between the body and the tail, and it really gives that tail like that much more action in the water. So usually we can fish it with a jig head, or we will fish it with a weighted swim bait hook, or a non-weighted swim bait hook. Kind of just depends on your preference and how you want to fish it. You can fish it weedless, if you want to do that. And again, like the cool thing about this is you can really cast it out, let it sink. You'll work the bottom of the water column, bring it up to midway of the water column. If you're using just like a swim bait hook with no weight on it, you can even reel it up to the surface and reel it up, get it on top, have it start kicking and making fluttering action, and then you can work it like a top water lure on the surface. So you can kind of like get 3 different actions out of this bait just fishing one lure, which is pretty cool. You don't have to switch or rig any, change up your rig or anything real quick. You just decide what you want to do with your cast that particular way. But again, those are great. We have caught everything on those gambler lures too. I mean everything. I don't throw them a ton offshore when we're deep sea fishing, mainly because we have live baits and other trolling things that we're using, other trolling baits that are out there. But like for instance, my brother, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a clown knife fish in Florida, and that's a popular fish in recent years. It's basically introduced to our freshwater canal systems in Florida with people letting go of their aquarium fish, and now they're thriving down in Delray, which is just south of our home. And now they live in our backyard canal system too, but they get massive. They get nice and big like this. They jump like tarpon. Look them up if you've never seen them before, but they're the craziest looking fish. A lot of people have them in their aquariums, but we caught an exotic clown eye fish on that lure. Bass, largemouth bass, peacock bass, striped bass, that's all freshwater fish that we have in Florida. Or actually, it's not striped bass, sunshine bass, hybrid sunshine bass that are stocked by the FWC. They're kind of a mixture, they are a hybrid between a striped bass and a white bass. Yeah, white bass.
They know about those.
Yeah, you guys know. Okay. So we catch those, and then again, snook, jack crevalles, moonfish, all different types of species of snappers. You name it, we catch it on that lure, and we love it too. So that's another great one that we like to use.
Right. I mean, if you're fishing, if you go inshore fishing in Florida, you're throwing around a paddle tail, basic swim bait. I mean, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just out there, you're scoping around, first bait of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a perfectly legitimate bait. No one's going to tell you you're doing the wrong thing, and it's a great thing to, see what's going on out there and really, do some scouting around the area. And try different sizes too.
Yeah, in Stuart, Florida, it's an hour north of where we are. That's also another huge popular location for snook fishing. And I did a seminar up there at the boat show last month. I was talking to a fan of mine that showed me that same exact bait, and he caught like his biggest snook of his life underneath the 10-cent bridge in Stuart, like a 45-inch gigantic snook. He was like 15 years old, but he's like, oh yeah, I throw like gambler lure all the time. Like, people love it and it works. And then
that reminds me on that the Bait Buster one. If you guys ever watch, if you guys watch cable fishing shows, which of course YouTube's a banner.
Yeah.
But Blair Wiggins from Addicted Fishing, he caught his biggest snook of his life on that Bait Buster. So under a bridge in Stewart. So that's again, that's just more evidence. Those are very standard baits, and those are things everyone could throw, and you're going to catch fish.
Right. And Blair Wiggins, has many more years of fishing experience under my belt. So that's saying something that he caught the biggest fish of his entire life, biggest snook of his entire life on that little tiny bait. So, So now we're going to talk about. You want to talk about flare hawks really quick?
Oh, flare hawks. Okay.
We don't have any flare hawks because they come like pre-rigged with the hook, and we didn't want to have
like a jig head with a hair on it and a long tail. And again, that's just another standard lure down in Florida, particularly for snook under bridges and in deep holes, a lot at night. And again, we couldn't bring them because TSA, but I started throwing those. I don't know, everybody catches fish on them all the time, and I never really threw them before, so I just said, I'm just going to put this on my rod, I'm going to leave it there, I'm just going to start throwing it. And I started catching fish, and I started catching big fish. So it's just, if you guys are out there, and that's what you're going to throw, at night and under bridges, flare hawk, it's got a jig head, and it's got hair on it, and it kind of just goes like this with the hair when you work it. And it basically just going to hit the bottom, and then you can feel, then you're just going to jig it up a little bit and just bounce it off the bottom like this. And it's going to take a little while to get the feel of that, but that's just another great bait that we use. That I use mostly all the time.
Yeah. And most of these baits, all of these baits we're talking about is in like all of our inshore videos, if you guys ever watch those, so you can actually see us using them, and you don't know what we're talking about, you could reference that in the future too, but like all of this stuff is detailed in our videos as well, so you can check that out.
I'll just touch on that, is that, a lot of times you get a question of someone, oh, can you guys do this video or that video, or if you ever have done that. If you want to find something in Florida, she has literally caught like every Florida fish, and oftentimes with the very best captains there are in Florida, which is the gift, one of the big gifts that she's had through her fishing career. We're not the best fishermen in the whole wide world, and just like every other fisherman, we learn from everybody else, but we've had the opportunity to learn from like the greatest fisherman in the whole wide world. You know, she's fished with Blair Wiggins. She's fished with the guys that catch all the biggest snook and the biggest offshore fish and everything else. So just Google Darcizzle and flarehawk, or Darcizzle and mangrove snapper, or Darcizzle and how to catch a yellowtail snapper, or Darcizzle and how to catch a sailfish, and believe me, it's there.
It pops up.
We got like 750 videos going back like 6 years, and it's there.
It pops
Kite
up.
fishing to, you know,
Do you
spear
have a-
fishing,
Do you have a
literally.
better video on how to release a sailfish?
We got a bunch.
You do. Yes.
Well, we got a bunch, yeah.
Yes.
You have an early video?
Wouldn't take much.
We've got a few over the years.
Got a few.
Yeah. No, we don't really like to bring sailfish in the boat either, so we kind of like to take the hook off by the side of the boat, but we have all that on video too, so you guys
Yeah.
can check that out as well.
We got a sailfish.
I think it's a little better, a little better.
You got to sailfish from 80-foot yachts to kayaks, literally, so Google that.
Yes,
Literally.
yes. I have caught a giant sailfish on a kayak, like where we are, well, just to sidetrack really quick, but where we are here in Florida, in Boynton Beach, basically this is where the Gulf Stream comes in the closest, the wall of the Gulf Stream comes in the closest, right where we live, and the whole entire eastern seaboard. So it comes in really close to us and then kind of just works its way back out as it goes up the whole entire coast. So right where we are, like we go out half a mile or a mile when we get out the inlet, we're in 300 feet of water and we're fishing. Like we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to travel hundreds of miles. We are blessed where we are fishing. Where we are is called also the Sailfish Alley. So during the migration, there's hundreds of them that pass through this tiny area right in Boynton. And again, like we just go right out our inlet. We don't have to spend a ton of gas money, and we usually start putting out live baits or we start trolling right there. So it's pretty sick where we are, and we get the opportunity to catch all these amazing fish as they migrate through this time of the year. And they come in real close to the coastline. You'll be surprised. Even the guys at the piers sometimes are catching giant cobia, even sailfish off the piers sometimes. It just really depends on different conditions during the times of the year, but it's pretty crazy what you'll hear.
They caught a
people
30-pound
catch.
mahi off the pier like 2 months ago.
Yes, that's right. They caught a 30-pound
Off the Lake Worth Pier.
off the Lake Worth Pier. And I mean, that's freaking shallow. So it's amazing what you see. And then even during the mullet run, when the fish are on the beach and they're running, they're also on the intercoastal side too, but on the beach, you'll see big kingfish really close to shore chasing them, cobia chasing them close to shore. I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to catch those fish, but I've heard of 40, 50-pound cobia, caught during the mullet run, just these fish following them. It's insane. So we're really blessed and lucky where we are, but it's kind of hit or miss fishing too. So the fish are there a couple days and then they're gone. And then when they're gone, we'll go out there and try to catch fish, and we'll beat our head against the wall all day, have live baits out all day, and we're not getting bit. That's because there's no fish there. So it's really like, it's good fishing when they're migrating through and it's a hot bite, but then you have periods where it's kind of slow fishing too, and there's not a whole lot going on. So, but that's what, that's all about fishing. That's how it goes. So, yeah. So, yeah. So now we're going to talk about, really quick, the last thing with the snook is the trolling lures that I like to use, are lip diving lures. We do a lot of inshore saltwater trolling for snook, and I know that's not like a common thing that you hear from a lot of fishermen, but it works for us. And again, we're going to tell you what works for us and like how we like to catch snook. So we have 4 different colors that I really like to use when we are inshore trolling. We usually have 4 lines out, whether it's on our big boat or on our flats boat. And we have, what are those things called? Tees?
The tees, yeah.
Yeah, we call them tees, but
This aluminum thing goes like that.
yeah, aluminum thing that goes in your rod holder, and then you could stick your reel out, perpendicular to the boat, so it sticks out further, kind of like an outrigger. So we have like 2 on either side, and then two baits on the other side, down on the back side of the boat on either side, so stern of the boat. And we have them all spaced out, so like, 2 on the sides of the boat going out are really long, probably like 100 foot back. And then I have one on one side that's probably like 50 feet back, and then I have a really big lip diver that goes really deep, this one, and I have that like 10 feet behind the boat. And then we trolling inshore is really based on how your lures are swimming. It's not really based on your speed. If these lures are skipping out of the water, you're going too fast. Like, you gotta make sure they're swimming. Look at your lures in the water. That's one of the things we're always doing, whether we're deep sea fishing, trolling, or we're inshore trolling. If those baits aren't swimming properly, you need to correct your baits, you need to slow down your boat, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong to get those baits to swim correctly. With these lips, they really should grab in the water and dive deep. They shouldn't be skipping out whatsoever, and they should swim erratically in the water to attract fish. So these, I have Yazuri 3D crystal minnows, and then I have Yazuri 3DS minnows with like a diamond lip on them, and we'll pass these around. But most of these go about 4 to 6 feet deep, 4 to 6 feet It's 4 to 6 feet deep. And then the X wrap, I have a Rapala X wrap right here. This is what we caught the 42-inch Snook on last week. This giant bait. My brother was on the boat. He actually caught it on that bait. But that is called the Hothead, and that is a Rapala X Wrap 30. And for whatever reason, that color really sticks out in our dirty inshore waterways, and fish blow it up. I mean, the tiniest snook to the biggest snook in the world eat it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is the only lure we have that has its own rod. Like, it has its rod, it's dedicated all day long, all the time.
Yeah.
Again, this thing catches, I don't even understand it, but it catches, again, just like you said, 42-inch snook. I've caught blackfin tuna on this.
Yes.
I've caught mahi on this
Dolphin.
offshore.
Nice dolphin.
Yeah, literally everything. So I'll obviously it'll catch kingfish and wahoo too. We haven't caught those yet, but maybe kingfish. But anyway, again, this goes on a dedicated rod, and if we lose one, I ordered 2 or 3 from Amazon right away. So we always have like a whole bunch of these laying around. This one's like pretty new because we lost one the other day.
Yes.
So I want to point out, you guys go down on these trips from Georgia, you travel down to the Keys or to your sailfish tournament,
Louisiana.
and sometimes, Louisiana, sometimes the weather's crap. You have things scheduled that far out, you're going to get bad weather. So inshore, you control these lures. We do it all the time. When we're going from Peanut Island back to Boynton, she's trolling these lures. And so that's something you can do with the kids on a day where it's too rough offshore. If you just want to go out and have some land sharks, you can just troll these silly lures around, and you're going to catch fish and just have a nice day. So this is going to be a trip saver for you guys on these planned, week trips you go down there, and it's blowing out like crazy. I think if you go to the Keys, half the time you go to the Keys, it's blowing out. Maybe 90% of the time,
always
right?
windy in Keys. Always windy. Yeah, so we really, again, like I'm going under a no-wake zone under a bridge, like even if it's just for like a 50-yard little slow boat ride, like I put that bait right out and I'll troll it behind the boat. And he usually like gets mad at me. He's like, why are you putting a rod out? And I always got to have a rod out.
I'm trying to go fast. I'm just trying not to get a ticket. Go as fast as I can without getting a ticket, and she's trolling.
Yeah, and I'm trolling like wherever we are. And usually I want to keep it like right on the bottom, and that's where a lot of crap is, so that's how I usually lose most of my lures. But it's part of the game. If you're not fishing the bottom, you're not fishing with those lures, so you really want to get them down. But again, like those things kill it, and your trolling speed, once again, you really go about, what is it, 4 RPM? No, 4 knots.
4 knots, yeah.
We go about 4 knots.
Yeah. I usually do the driving because she's doing the fishing.
Yeah.
And it's about 4 knots, and you want to go slower for snook. And if you're trying to catch a tarpon, you want to go like you're barely moving, but you're not really going to troll a tarpon with those. Although we have caught one on those.
Yeah.
And if you want to go a little faster, then you're really looking for your bluefish and your jacks and your Spanish max and that kind of stuff.
And we have videos all about this too.
But all those
Once
fish and those
again,
lures trolling every time.
Yeah, every time. Recently too, all these lures are in those videos too. Over the years, we've had how to troll, inshore saltwater trolling videos, and we troll as close as we possibly can to structure, to docks, to moored boats. We kind of get like right up as close as we can to try and get that bait underneath if we can. And again, like it's amazing what we've caught over the years on these things, and it works. And it's really about moving water. Again, you always want that moving water, but even on slack tides, and if there's barely any moving water, I've caught some of the biggest snook in my life with no current too. So it really, you don't have lines in the water, you're not catching anything. So you've got to troll. Like at least for me, I always have a line in the water. If we're going on a boat ride to the sandbar with our friends, I've got a rod with me. Or if we're on a serious fishing trip, I've always got a line out. So that's just me though. I really like fishing. So so now we can talk about briefly about the snook baits we like to use, and then we'll move into like the offshore stuff and I guess all the other stuff we do too. So live bait. Of course, live bait is going to be the best bet for snook. I mean, any fish, would prefer to eat a live bait over an artificial bait, but it's also awesome that you can trick a snook into eating an artificial bait too. So that's always part of the game, and always, learning on how to fish too. But with a live bait, like honestly, for the kids, and the best thing to get is going to be shrimp. Live shrimp. Every fish that swims eats live shrimp. Everything loves shrimp. If you think about it. So you will catch everything that swims on shrimp, but the problem with that is you rig it up on a jig head and you kind of cast it underneath the dock, or underneath that bridge piling, or underneath that shadow line. A lot of the times another fish will get to your shrimp first before a snook actually gets to it. So your target species that you're targeting, it might be a little more difficult for you to catch it because other fish are going to jump on that shrimp first. So a lot of times You know, I catch, like, if I catch I call them trash fish, but I'll catch like catfish, which I hate. I've been stabbed by catfish and I don't want to ever see or catch one of those things again. I just hate those things. So I hate when that happens when they steal it, but it's part of fishing. You'll catch, again, bluefish, jack crevalles, little snappers, and then eventually you might catch your, you know, your snook. So that's the only problem with that. But if you want to bend rods and have fun with your kids, that's the best thing to do, is to get shrimp, and you're going to catch fish all day long. And again, if you can get that right in front of a snook's face on a jig head, that's a lot of times that's how we like to rig it, and I really like to pinch the tail off. And we have videos on this. It's kind of hard to explain, but you rig it like up through the body, and then you get the hook point out through the top of the back and between two of the sections of their shell there. And it really stays on nice and snug. It's way better than dead bait. The dead shrimp kind of comes right off your hook. But again, this is in my video, so you guys can check that out too. But ripping off the tail gets that scent in the water and gets those fish, you know, they can smell that shrimp, so they're going to go over to it. And so yeah, so the shrimp is always number one, and usually the best thing that you can find at tackle shops in Florida. But the next best thing is going to be mullet. And mullet are not sold in tackle shops, of course. You have to know how to throw a cast net in order to catch mullet on your own. But that is also something that's around year-round in Florida. You know, when we have the mullet run, there's thousands of mullet in the area, so you really got to get your mullet to stand out. If you have mullet, to get them to stand out from the thousands that are in the area. And usually what you want to do is you want to cast them on the outside of a school, so a predator fish can actually see your individual bait and target it, instead of looking at the zillions of mullet that are in the area. So that's kind of the problem fishing mullet during the mullet run, but it works great year round, especially if you can get like a nice finger-sized mullet, like 4 to 5 inches long. The bigger ones, you know, if you get bigger mullet than that, you're going to be looking for like a giant snook. So a lot of times you really want a perfect size bait when it comes to mullet. But again, I do have a how to throw a cast net video on YouTube, by the way. So if you don't know how to throw a cast net, check out my video. Just type Darcizzle cast net, it'll pop up. And we are now in the works of making a new video on how to throw like a triple load method, because the video on YouTube right now is how to throw an 8-footer. An 8-footer is a good all-around size to start with, and you'll catch all kinds of bait in that. But it's really important, if you want to become a fisherman, you really need to know how to throw a net. And I like to use a 3/8 quarter-inch net. No, 3/8 mesh net. Sorry. So yeah, so mullet's great. Did you want to say something about mullet? You look like you did. No? Okay. Okay, so mullet's great. The next best thing, during the summertime, we have zillions of bait fish that migrate through our area. Right now, there's like no bait fish in our area. Even like live goggle eyes for offshore fishing. The live bait guys are selling them for like $100 or $120 a dozen. I mean, it's absolutely insane right now. But in the summer, they migrate through. We have pilchards, we have thread fins, we have I'm drawing a blank right now. We have sardines, we have cigar minnows, we have croakers, we have everything, and they're so much fun to catch in the summer. You just tie on a sabiki rig, you catch zillions of them right offshore. Usually it's just really close to our inlets where we are, and wherever you see packs of boats in really tight, small spaces, that's usually where the bait fish are hanging out. But using those are also a great live bait. So when I said the snook are stacked in the inlets during the summertime, that's when you're going to be throwing pilchards at them down below, thread fins, the sardines, anything lively and frisky, those snook are going to eat them. So again, those are other great live baits as well. But usually my favorite in general is a pilchard, and if I can ever catch pilchard, I get super excited, and like I already know I'm going to have a good day, because like that's some candy in my opinion. So whenever I get that, I get super excited, and I haven't caught any fish yet. I'm like, oh yes, we're going to slay today. Like, I love pilchards. So yeah, so that's really it about the live bait. Did you want to say anything about the live bait? No? Okay. Yeah, so that's really, I just want to make sure.
Oh, you know, we really do love the pilchards, because
yes,
you know, if you can get them up, you get a ton of them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you get a whole bunch of little ones even, you can throw out a couple handfuls and chummers, you really get the fish.
Like 2 months ago, we had zillions of live bait, pilchards actually like in our inshore waterways, and it was really weird for this time of the year. I cast netted a whole bunch, and we caught a mess of fish that day. So many stuck, I mean, I think I lost count. We had a cold front coming through too, and that really, well, it was before the cold front. It really had those fish turned on with that barometric pressure drop or whatever was going on with the pressure. The fish were just chewing, so we had an epic day. But that's very rare and in between, where you actually catch pilchards in the summer, in the winter like that. It's pretty wild. So
right, but touch on like a general point I like to raise is that, you know, some people catch more fish than other people, and what we've seen over the years is the reason is because, you know, those folks are willing to do more than maybe you are or someone else is. And that means you're catching more bait, getting up earlier to catch more bait, buying more chum, you know, working harder, you know, changing your leaders more often. All this kind of stuff, it all just gets together and ends up to more fish. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's all that is. It's really just catching more bait and throwing it out there. You're gonna
Right.
catch more fish, and all the great captains we fished with, they're just willing, you know, to do more. You know, unfortunately, you can't look at your wallet when you saw what a fish is. You know, you're just not gonna catch the fish. You just gotta go all in.
Yeah. You know, a lot of those charter captains too are out there on a daily basis, and they kind of know what's up and what's going on a day-to-day basis. For us, you know, it's a little different. Like, we really fish, I forgot to mention it earlier, but we really fish like 2, 3 to 4 times per week, really just depending on, you know, the weather situation and what is going on that particular week for us, and whether we're able to make it offshore. Just a lot of factors are dependent on that. But the other part of the time, we're in the house and we are working on it. He's editing YouTube videos. He does all the editing. I don't do any of that. But I'm posting on social media. I'm sending out my orders. I sell calendars and fish hook bracelets that I'm wearing. I hand tie myself. 8x10s. I have a website. Yes, she's wearing one. I have a website with all of this stuff available too. So we are just constantly working at the house, and we don't have that opportunity to be out there every day. So when we go out there, it might be like 2 or 3 days span where we haven't did any fishing. We go out there and we're starting all over again. We don't know what's going on, where the bait is. Like, you start from as soon as you get on the boat, you start figuring out, you know, what the fish want that day, and you're figuring out the fishing for that particular day, so it's tough. And a lot of people don't realize that, and you know, there's always haters on social media and stuff, but they're like, oh, you don't catch any fish, and you know, you only catch fish with charter captains or whatever. But we don't really fish with a whole lot of charter captains, other than when we go to a brand new area like Atlanta, like today. But in our area, we're putting ourselves on our own fish, and we're filming it, and we're making the video. And people don't realize like the time and the effort that goes into that. And Brian does a lot of the boat driving, but like, I'm the one throwing the cast net in the morning, getting soaking wet. I'm the one that actually I see a little better than him too, so I can see like in the water and stuff. He can't see squat, so I'm like he's got his glasses, so I'm the one that like sees the fish and knows what's up with the fish. And I'm like, there's fish right there. He's like, what? Where? You just see anything? So I'm
We
like,
both have our strengths.
yeah, I'm yelling at him. But anyways, yes,
Let's
we
get the
do.
trolling. Let's
We
get the
do.
trolling.
But
What do you
he's
want trolling?
amazing at like driving a boat and driving a trolling motor while I'm fighting a fish and filming me at the same time. I mean, that's like a lot to handle. So people just don't realize what goes into it, and we don't have the opportunity again to be out there every day like a lot of charter fishermen do, who have a huge advantage on us than we do. And again, you know, 2 to 3 days a week is really not enough to like, you know, be proficient at it, you know, for a couple times a week is what I'm saying. So, but anyways, so now we can talk about all the other good stuff, and unless you guys have like specific Snook questions that you want me to answer, but that's kind of the Snook portion of this seminar. And if you have Snook questions, go ahead and ask them, and then if not, we'll just like move right into the deep sea offshore fishing or whatever you guys want us to talk about. So, any questions? Yes.
Fly fishing for snook.
Fly fishing. I don't do a whole lot of fly fishing. I'm actually trying to get into it right now. I have a 6 and 8 weight fly rod in my possession and a ton of flies. It is definitely doable. There's a lot of guides and friends of ours that fly fish for snook, and they love it. Especially in our area, we have quite a few captains that are really good at it. But I've never caught a snook on fly, so I don't have a whole.
Did you catch one
Not
like
a
5 years
snook.
ago?
Not a snook.
I thought you did.
No. It was a bonefish. I've never caught a snook on
Oh,
fly.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really fly fish.
Yeah, so I can't really, I can't really answer that question.
Someday soon.
But
Coming soon,
we're
okay.
trying to break into that realm too.
Right.
There's just so much we have to do. It's insane with being only 2 of us, but that's one thing I've been dying to do is get into fly fishing. And I just need to practice more in my yard with like my cast before I go in the water and start fishing. So, yeah. Any more questions? Questions? No? Yes.
Bow fishing this year?
Bow fishing. That is something we are interested in doing as well. We actually just got a bow
Yes,
for.
that's why I mentioned it.
Yes.
Yeah, we
just
got
a
2
bow.
bows. We had to return them both because
We're pretty
they were like
upset.
broken. The Bass Pro, and
Yeah.
now we're trying to get it. Now we're getting a 3rd one.
Yeah, we just bought like 2, whatever. We bought like 400, the fanciest $400 reel from Bass Pro, and it came with like the pieces missing for like the actual bow. It's retarded, but so we bought another one, and then the same exact pieces were missing. So we think it's like a faulty like product shipment or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, we would have done bow fishing videos by now if it wasn't.
But
for the
however, we
cost.
actually do have, we have at least 2 bow fishing videos.
We do, at least
right
2.
now. So if you Google
They're very
Darcizzle
old.
bow fishing,
They're very old.
you're gonna see them.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're very
absolutely.
old. Yeah.
One has like 2 million views. And it's tilapia and on an airboat and everything else, and the other one is gar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very
they're
old,
great.
but we got to update.
Yeah, we
them.
got 2 of them.
Yes, yes. You want to talk about deep sea or what?
I'll talk a little bit about deep sea and answer whatever question you guys want. And I guess first trolling, and I guess I just have to generally assume that you guys, from Atlanta, you don't do a ton of trolling. And so I'll just go over kind of what we do and try and keep it real simple. Obviously it involves how many lines you got out there. And, if you're just starting out, you don't got to put a ton of lines out there. Just put 2, put out 3, 2 on the sides and 1 down the middle and see how that goes. Then you can add some more. But the basic, what we do, we got 2 people out there usually. And again, I'm driving and filming and gaffing and netting and yelling and screaming and all this stuff. And she's doing the actual fishing. So, it really gets to be a lot with any more than 5 lines, and even that's a ton.
Yeah, and when it gets rough out there, it's like,
And then when it's rough, you need a
impossible.
dedicated driver, and it just gets to be a lot. So you guys can do the same thing though, and really keep it simple. And we also try and do a lot of wind on. You want to try. You don't want to have a big old swivel and then a 15-foot leader, and then then you can't manage that fish that well, particularly if you have a light load. So we use a tiny swivel, and you can reel that through, and then you can really 2 people can gaff that fish super easy. So that's one little trick if you have a few people or you're on a smaller boat, right? So basically, our 5 lure spread, and one of the main points of discussion is, we use a lot of ballyhoo down in Florida, and you control just lures, which is fine, but some of the experts have told us, and our experience as well, is if you have some actual bait on there, if a fish bites and misses it, he'll come back, okay? If he bites a big old piece of plastic, your chances of him coming back to get that again, after getting a mouthful of whatever it is,
Chemicals.
chemicals or plastic is not that great. And one of the top lures you want to have down there, one of the top kind of baits is some sort of chugger bait that goes through the water, like a flying fish, which is of course their main meal down there, and make that popping with the splash. And you don't have to go buy a $20 or a $25 beautiful, most best colorful islander in the whole wide world. All you need is this little thing right here. These are $5. You're going to see them in a big old bin by the register at most tackle shops down in Florida. And you rig your ballyhoo, which is a million videos on YouTube, including from Darcizzle and I. I think you even have some IGTV ones or whatever.
we do.
But you rig them up, you stick the bill through this little hole, and you're all set to go. This is $5. And you can get them in whatever colors you want, blue, pink. This is purple and black. And one of the best fishermen, who we think is the best fisherman in the whole wide world, I asked him what color he likes for mahi, and he said, "What? It's a mahi. They don't care what color it is." So the color thing, when it comes to some fish, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but whatever works. It gets to be superstition almost, right? So this is all you need to catch a mahi on the front of a ballyhoo. So we're usually going to run 2 of those, one on each outrigger on the outside.
Yeah, it really creates like a nice bubble trail
Yeah, nice
in the
little bubble
water,
trail.
and it skips, and it really just, you seeing that bubble trail, it really looks like a flying fish. It really mimics the fish really well.
Right. And the other thing I like to run on the outside and the outriggers is a naked skipping circle hook ballyhoo. And if you don't know what that is, that's just you can rig those super fast and they catch a ton of fish. That is just a little rubber loop with a piece of wire on it. You run the wire through that little soft spot in the ballyhoo's nose, through the eyes a couple times and around the bill, and you're all set. Stick your circle hook through there, and you hang those from your riggers just so they're skipping, just like that across the water. And that's for when it's a little bit calmer. You can do that, and that will catch fish all day, and you can rig it in like 3 seconds, and it's super easy.
Yeah.
So those are really what I'm going to be having on my outriggers.
Yeah, for the ballyhoo in particular too, like when it comes to the mahi bite their baits from the head side. So
Right.
they come up and they eat the head and they eat that hook right away. They don't bite off the tail or snap off the tail like wahoo or kingfish. They come up and they eat that head first. So just
Right,
think
that's why-
about that when you being out ballyhoo, and the circle hook rig is great.
Right, you're exactly correct. And then on top you're gonna have a line down the middle. You call it way back or whatever you want to call it. And this is one of our favorite baits for that. This is the Billy Bait Mini Turbo Slammer, and they come in a whole bunch of colors. This is a pink one. You got the main colors in Florida that you're gonna be using is pink,
Pink and white.
blue and white, and then if you want to go red and black or purple and black, that's fine too. But these are your big colors. So I'm going to run this down the middle, or I'm going to run some sort of little daisy chain maybe.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys like those cedar plugs. I haven't had a ton of luck with them, but I don't pull them a lot either. You know, fish aren't really, you know, they get pretty smart, but they also, the main thing is to get a bait in front of their faces. You know, I'm not exactly sure how much it matters all the time what the actual bait is, depending how fast you're going, but you just want to get something out there.
Yeah, and I was gonna say those billy baits do come like pre-rigged if you don't want to rig your own, but we also rig our own as well. We usually always like to, if we get something pre-rigged, we always like to tackle down our leader.
Right.
We're big into doing that, mainly because we want to get those bites. And when you're saying like if you put it in front of a fish, we really hate blind trolling. Like we're going out there and we go out 10 miles and we don't see nothing, and you see another boat trolling next to you and you're like, oh, I should troll too. It's like, no, there's nothing out here. Why are you trolling in the middle of nowhere? There's nothing out here to hold any fish. Like, why are you blind trolling like that? So we might come across like a weed line and we're following it for a couple miles, and all of a sudden that weed line disappears or that rip in the water disappears, and then we realize we're in the middle of nowhere and there's no fish here, there's no baits anywhere, and we're blind trolling, so we're wasting time. Like, you really want to be somewhere where a fish would actually be hanging out. So you really have to think like a fish. You really don't want to blind troll. Like, that's just a really waste of time. You do hear stories about people like catching a marlin or catching whatever, but that's like, you know, that's like very rare. Like, you can't.
Lightning's got hit somewhere.
Yeah, you can't like base it on. You can't base your fishing on that. So,
Right.
and we never caught a marlin or anything crazy like that.
No,
blind
I've seen one
trolling,
or two,
but
no, it's
again,
not
you
fishing.
really want to be on top of a reef or a structure or whatever it is. You want to be somewhere where fish are hanging out.
Right, and, you know, touching on it, for mahi, you know, typically you're gonna, I know you guys probably fish out of Palm Beach a lot, it sounds like. I hear a lot of Palm Beach stories, and, you know, that's where your sailfish tournament was just the other day, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. So for mahi, basically, you know, they want to be around some sort of structure, so you're just gonna start running out there. You're gonna want to go southeast, because the current's gonna be pushing you north, right? So head out southeast, and you're looking for whatever's floating around, okay?
You look for warbirds, of course.
Yeah, you don't really find that many out of Palm Beach County,
There are
but in the
some.
Keys you'll see a lot more. But again, you're looking for those weed lines and anything floating, you know, crates and trees and all that kind of stuff, or some sort of rip where the jet stream, the Gulf Stream hits, you know, the more inshore waters.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, don't just troll around out there doing nothing. I mean, you're just going to be wasting time,
Yeah.
not catching any fish. And again, the guys are catching bigger fish in the summer. It's getting tougher and tougher down in South Florida to catch decent sized fish. It used to be you'd catch, you know, a 30-pounder every summer, and now if you catch a 20, you're so excited, like, and you come home with 3 mahi, and you're so excited you had the greatest day in the whole wide world. But, you know, if you go down the Keys and you catch 30 of them, then, you know, that's a good day down there.
And I was going to say too that like April, May, and June, that's really when we get our bigger size mahi moving through our area, and this is when they're really leaving around the Florida Keys, and they're kind of working their way back up the coast, getting out of that hot water and going north past us. And so a lot of the Florida Keys guys get to the bigger fish first. But then when you know like they're being caught off Miami, you know that they're going to be in your area in a couple days, then usually that's when you go out and you're looking for that steady southeast wind for a couple days, and that really pushes the bait fish in a lot closer than they normally would be, and that's going to prompt you to go out and troll. You don't want to go out like, you know, when there hasn't been an east wind or it just turned east, like there's going to be nothing close to you. You're going to have to run for a long time before you find anything.
Right.
And then I also wanted to mention really quick too, from last summer, we went out of Stewart, and it was also Snook season. Well, the Snook were in the inlet, so I think it was like May or June. And we went out, we found like this huge 50-foot log floating. It was like a brand new log too. It hadn't been in the water very long. But we actually lost and caught quite a few mahi too, like nice gaffer-sized mahi swimming all around this giant log. And we were pretty far offshore. And then in the middle of nowhere offshore, this giant sailfish ate our bait down deep. And it was sick, so we caught like a bunch of mahi for dinner, a huge sailfish. This video's on YouTube, of course, check it out. And we released this gorgeous sailfish, and then we came in and we had some baits left over from the day, and we're like, let's hit the snook spot at the inlet and see if we can catch a snook. Threw out a bait, and sure enough, I watched this like 43-inch snook come airborne out of the water, eat my bait, fight this fish. So it's just like amazing to go to Florida, or even be like blessed for us to be in Florida, catch a mess of mahi for dinner, catch a sailfish, and then go inshore and catch a giant snook and a sailfish in the same day. I mean, like a lot of people can't say that, so it's just, you know, we're blessed having that kind of fishery down in Florida. So it's amazing. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so now I got my 2 lines out on my outriggers. The carbon outriggers are so much better than those aluminum old ones if you can hook up with them. And then I got one way down in the back. Particularly in the summer, you want to have some down baits. All right, so usually on our right corner, we're on the planer. And if you guys, you know, are trolling without a planer, you know, you gotta be pulling a planer and getting those baits down there, or you're not working the whole column. I think we run like a number 8, and we do a bridle system, and you can Google that and see what that's all about. We also have a video, our Wahoo video. We caught the last one. We did talk all about the bridle, and it's basically a planer is attached to 2 little loops in your line that are pre-made in there, and then when you reel it in, you can take the planer off, and again, like I talked about before, you can wind on that big old leader that's after the planer instead of hand lining that big old thing. When I got, just Darcy and I, and again, I'm driving and hand lining and gaffing and everything else. So the bridle system is used a ton up in like North Carolina. I instituted it down here in South Florida. I think I may be one of the only guys doing it. But that's just a great system. And again, you can just wind that leader right up to the, right up to the tip if you wanted to. You bring the hook right to the tip and you'd be fine. We're running about 100-foot leader after the planer. I used to do 80-pound. I tackled that down to 60-pound, 100-foot leader after that. And I even stopped using wire. So I got that 60-pound going right to the hook. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of toothy fish down there, they're just tail biting.
Yeah, and this is explained in one of our recent videos too,
Right.
with the Wahoo. You can
Right.
just type in Darcizzle Wahoo, and he
The latest
explains
one.
all
That's
of
cool.
this like in clear detail with the reel and everything that he's talking about in a video we did recently. So
Right.
type Darcizzle Wahoo and like look at
It's
one
a
of
catch and
our.
cook. I think we did it like in the fall.
I think it was October, November. We caught a nice Wahoo on this
Right.
rig. He's
So
talking
on
about.
the planer, I'm always running a pink sea witch with a double hook rig and a bonita strip that Darcy makes. So that's just a great little. That's pretty standard down in Florida. All the charter guys are gonna be running that. The commercial guys are gonna be running sea witches and running that same exact rig. And touching on before, I said I'm not really exactly sure if it matters what you put in front of these fish as long as you put something in front of them. We're at the boat show seminar, and this dude comes up to me with this big old ugly, excuse my language, big old Guggen setup rig with these huge hooks. They must have been 10-0, maybe 12-0 hooks, and with a piece of duct tape on it.
like shiny
Like
duct tape.
a duct tape and a tape in the size of a, cut into a strip,
Shiny
like a
duct
big
tape.
triangle.
Yeah.
And he's like, they showed me a picture of this huge Wahoo, we call it, this ridiculous thing. So I was like blown away. So I'm like, so the fish, if you get in front of the fish, you're gonna catch them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
Yeah.
all this other crap,
He
but
didn't,
you
yeah, he
wanna
didn't
find
go
the
through the
fish.
trouble of making a bonita strip, but he made like a duct
Yeah,
tape
that's-
strip,
got a
and it
duct tape.
worked. He
Yeah, it
got them
totally
all. We were
worked.
like,
Yeah,
what?
they did all fish with his son, so it was really great.
Yeah.
So I got a planer on this side, and I got a small boat. I got 23-foot boat, standard 8-foot beam, whatever it is. So we don't like to run 2 planers a lot. A lot of small boats are not running 2 planers because when you get wind, pushing your boat, your planer lines are all going to go like this. All right, so it's a all big mess. So on this side, I'm either running a cigar weight with the same kind of little bridle on there. You can take that cigar weight off, like a 48 or a 64 or a 72, whatever you want to do. So that drops down. Or a lot of times I'm running that big old lip diver, the hothead. So that's just really simple to put out there. Again, that thing catches tuna and mahi and everything else. And on the other side, a lot of guys will run. You can run another sea witch. Obviously people love Islanders with a ballyhoo behind it for underwater like that. You got that more of a pointy jet head on the Islander, so that's great for underwater. You don't want to put a chugger underwater, you just look like a Guggen. So again, blue and white, pink and white, red and black, those are the standard colors down there. So that's really our standard trolling setup. And if you get to be more experienced out there, you got a couple guys out there who know how to fish, you can add another couple lines. You can go up to 7, super easy with your outriggers, and then you got maybe 2 pointing out a little bit, on the sides, or maybe even you have your tees out, and then you have some going down the middle. And Keith had a center rigger, so you can get a ton of lines out there, but just go what you're comfortable with and get those running right. And with the speed, it's hard to say what speed it is. Just as Darcy mentioned with the trolling inshore, offshore is really just totally depends on how your lures are running. And you want to run lures, they're going to run more or less the same. Especially if you're running dead bait, you're going to be going a little bit slower. And if you want to cover more ground, then you can just run lures and you're more just kind of scoping out. So you'll want to have all your lures running correctly. And that's going to depend on if you're going into the current, out of the current, the wind, the waves. So there's no exact speed, it's just all your lures are running nice and smooth. And that's really how the trolling is. And again, we talked about the mahi. It's going to shoot out and try and find some out there wherever you can. Kingfish, they're going to be more, just outside where the reef is. If you're in Southeast Florida, which is, like 100 feet out. And again, depends on the wind. If it's an east wind pushing everything in, try and go a little, maybe go a little shallower. Sailfish are gonna be outside of that reef again, and they're gonna love that blue water. So don't, water is very, very important when you're offshore, and when you're inshore, and when you're at Lake Lanier. So, if you see some beautiful water, and you see some green water, get the hell out of that green water. The fish are not there. They're just, maybe the kingfish are, but we're all not out there probably trying to get kingfish all day long.
Yeah, when we're wahoo fishing and doing, that type of fishing,
Right.
we're really looking for that blue, crisp water. Those wahoo don't like that green, dirty water or anything like that. And next month we have the cobia run.
Right.
So, and the cobia are gonna run through our area in big numbers, so we have the opportunity every month to catch something cool and different.
Yeah. I mean, and, we don't do a ton of trolling. We're more like into live baiting, for king, just what you might call it king fishing, but in South Florida you catch all kinds of different fish. And it's more or less the same. We're running 2 baits up on top on our outriggers, usually goggle eyes, but we love to run smaller baits. So, a lot of guys just get a dozen goggle eyes and go out there. We like to get a dozen goggle eyes and maybe a dozen pilchards if you can, because you definitely, with different sizes, like we talked about inshore, with different size mullet, different size baits, you just don't know what those fish want out there. So we like to run pilchards if we can. Catch a ton of fish on pilchards all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really great. So 2 on top, and we're running usually 40-pound mono to that circle hook. And then down below, we don't use downriggers. I mean, you can, a lot of guys do, but also a lot of guys just put an egg sinker, right? That's an egg sinker.
Yeah.
And with a rubber band on it, and you just wrap it around your line, and you let it go. So you have like a 12 ounce on one side, an 8 or like a 6 on the other side, so they're just different depths. And you're just gonna bump around, and you're just gonna go super slow, just so your baits aren't dying and spinning. And, and if that doesn't work, then you're just gonna drift. And if that doesn't work, then you put up your kite, but we're not getting into that today.
Yeah.
But we have videos on kite fishing.
Yes, videos on all of
And
this.
a million videos
Yeah.
on bump trolling or slow trolling. We have a lot of videos,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's kind of a general
That's the
overview.
gist.
You guys have any questions? Questions?
Talk a little bit about your bottom
Excuse me?
ring when you fish.
Bottom ring.
Your bottom
Oh, for bottom fishing. Oh, that's all you.
Okay. Okay, so this is kind of hard to explain too, but this is in my videos as well.
Yeah.
So I like to use a very long leader when I'm bottom fishing. We do, if we have a second person on the boat, we'll kind of run 2 different rigs. So we'll usually run like one person with a chicken rig. So that has 2 hooks on it, usually J hooks. And then you got dropper loops on there. Drop it down with pieces of squid or chunks of dead sardines or whatever. Use just enough weight to hold bottom. You drop it, bounce it on bottom. You're gonna get quality fish like some decent sized yellowtail snappers or a mixture of snappers. At least you'll get dinner. But when you're using a chicken rig, you're not really getting those giant big snappers or groupers that live down there. You're getting quality keeper fish, but you're not getting the big ones that you're targeting. So for me, when I'm bottom fishing, I'm always running what I call a mutton snapper rig. I love to catch mutton snapper. If you watch my offshore videos, like I'm obsessed with mutton snapper. I love the way they hit. Even last year in the Keys in May, I caught a 12-pound mutton snapper in like 20 feet of water in the Florida Keys, and it was like the sickest catch ever, and I was so proud of myself, and I was like even crying that day. It was a mess, yeah. My dad had just passed away too, so I was like, I wish he was here to tell him. But yeah, I was sick. So with the mutton snapper rig, what I like to do is it's like a 3-way rig, except I've got so I have on my actual reel, my main line is 50-pound braid. So 50-pound braid with a top shot of probably like 60-pound fluorocarbon leader. Usually that top shot is like 15 to 20 feet long, and then that's connecting to my heavy-duty swivel on the other side so that connects to my swivel, and then I have another swivel on the main line side hanging straight down, and I have a bead in between the 2 swivels. So I have this swivel that connects my leader and my main line, and then right here is a swivel just hanging on the line with a bead in between it so it doesn't bang on it. And right here on this hanging swivel is where I connect a really light fluorocarbon leader, like a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, with my egg sinker. And I can interchange that egg sinker out quickly because the way I tie that knot is just like a loop knot, and I can loop it through the weight and interchange it out really quick depending on the current situations. And I just use enough to hold bottom, so I have 6 to 8 to 10, 12, 14-pound egg sinkers with me, and I can interchange it quickly. And that way it breaks off. So if I get stuck on the bottom or my weight gets stuck, my weight will break off with that 20-pound leader first, and I'll get my whole rig back. So on this side, this is where the actual weight will break off on the swivel. On this side is my mainline swivel, and then I have about a 20 to 30 foot long leader on this side connecting to my circle hook, and that is usually my long rig. I try to go even longer if I can, depending on current situations. The longer the leader, the better, especially when it comes to the mutton snapper and the grouper. You're gonna get big quality, big fish with a longer leader. They see that weight, they're smart. If they see that weight bouncing on the bottom, they're not gonna eat your bait. Some situations you gotta shorten your leader, but in general, I'm usually using about 20 to 30 foot. On one reel, we have like 40 foot leader on it. We've been doing a lot more anchoring lately, and anchoring is great for long leaders because you're sitting in one position. You're letting out that chum, you're bringing fish to your boat as that chum line goes out, they're coming up behind your boat, and you can just let that sit on the bottom, and you can have a leader way back there to where the big fish are hanging out, and they're gonna come up and eat your bait. So usually when we're drifting, I usually kind of stick with a 20 foot leader, and I tackle down, again, like you said, we really like to tackle down to get our bites. I'm usually starting with a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I know that sounds super light, and I have lost fish doing that, but I've also caught some really nice size mutton snapper and grouper on those rigs too. But if I start getting broken off, like sometimes kingfish will eat my rigs, or a big mutton snapper, I knew it was a mutton snapper I was fighting and it broke me off, then I'll go ahead and I'll increase to 40 or 50 pound. But I really just start with 30 pound because I really want to feel it out and see if I can get the bites first. Like if I start with a heavy 60 pound fluorocarbon leader, I might not get any bites all day. I might get one bite. I'm trying to make a video. So I get a 30 pound leader out there, I start getting bites. If I get broken up, then I'll upgrade. But usually 30 pound is my go-to, and a lot of Florida fishermen will tell you that. A lot of YouTubers, we all tackle down. It's what you have to do in Florida. They're getting smarter and smarter. There's a lot of spear fishermen down there, shooting all the decent fish. It's a lot more difficult for us, and even in the summertime, the sharks are terrible. They're so terrible to the point where you pull up to a bottom fishing spot, within 5 seconds of them hearing your engine, you're surrounded by 20 giant bull sharks, and they're circling your boat, and they're waiting for you to hook a fish on the bottom, and they're gonna eat your fish. So it's terrible fishing. It's just getting tougher and tougher by the year, and this year was the worst year yet as far as the sharks go. Even 2 months ago, the sharks were super terrible. We were trying to bottom fish in Stewart, which is not even a known shark location, and they were eating every decent fish I hooked. I knew it was a nice fish, and I'm reeling as fast as I possibly can. They still would eat it. But so that kind of explains the rig, and then of course the circle hook is just going to be based on the size of your bait. But I like to use a circle hook when I'm bottom fishing because that fish will really just set the hook and I'll just reel. But this is all my videos too. So I have what's that?
What size hook?
Circle hooks really just depend on the size of your bait. So usually I'm usually about 5/0 mustad circle hooks, sometimes a 4/0, sometimes a 6/0, just depending if I'm using live bait that day or I'm using dead bait. If I'm using a dead sardine, I usually cut the tail off the dead sardine and I run the circle hook up through the bottom jaw and up to the top of the nose, so you run streamline. And if you don't cut off that tail, he's going to spin all the way down to the bottom. Your leader's going to get all tangled up and it's going to be a big mess. But it's a process, because once you're using a big leader like that, it takes practice to learn how to use it too, because you cast it out, let the current take it, let it drop down slowly so it doesn't get wrapped up on your line. When you do catch a fish, you gotta hand line the last 20, 30 feet up yourself, but usually by that time the snapper is starting to float because you pulled them up from the bottom. So there's just a lot of things that go into it, but we've even caught kingfish like that, and it's a pain in the butt because the kingfish runs all over the boat and you're trying to hand line 30 feet of line, and it's an impossible mission. But we ended up keeping that. Catching that fish. You can't catch kingfish on circle hooks even though they got those sharp teeth. It's just dependent on how they get hooked, because sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Going with Keith.
We did catch one with Keith.
Just like that.
Kite fishing, actually.
Yeah, so you can use, a lure, you can just use a leader for mutton fishing as long as you can handle. When you start out when you're a beginner, it's going to be maybe 10 feet, and as you gain experience, you're just going to go as long as you can, and always try and anchor.
The
You're not going to catch the big ones.
commercial snapper guys say they'll use a minimum of 100-foot leader. I'm like, holy crap, how do you even use that?
Right.
But they do. They swear by it.
There's a question over here?
Yes. Yeah, another question?
What's
Yes.
your wahoo? What's the largest wahoo you guys have caught?
The largest wahoo for us is not that big. For our area, I think it's a 32.
Yeah, that's
I've seen
on our
a lot of your wahoo videos, but I didn't know what the biggest one was.
on this side, that's
You don't get the
that's
big
like a
ones.
like in the 20s is like perfectly normal. We don't really get too many big ones on our side.
They're caught, but you
Yeah.
know, it's far and few between. Bahamas side is where the
Yeah, she's
monsters
got a couple
are
of
at.
40s, I guess. Over
I
there.
have caught some 40s, but on another person's boat, not ours. On our boat, I think the biggest is 32, but that's about the average size fish that swim in schools through our area. And there are bigger ones. It's just, you know, like this past a couple months ago, there was a couple 50, 70 pounders that I heard caught. But for us, we never had anything luckier than 32.
Are you having
So.
trouble with Goliath groupers eating your snappers and things?
It's mainly the sharks. I'm sure I've had Goliath groupers eat my bait, eat my fish before, but it's mainly the sharks. Like you see the sharks, you actually see sharks chasing up your bait as fast as they possibly can eat it. And in Stewart, actually, with our buddy last month, we were watching Goliath groupers come up and eat our baits off the,
Right.
eating our fish off the chicken rigs.
Yeah.
Like remember that
Right,
giant
right.
grouper that
We're
came
fishing at the
up?
bull shark barge right outside of
Yeah.
Stewart, and the
Yeah, yeah,
Goliath
yeah.
groupers
Yep.
were wearing
Yep.
us out.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. That's the spot. And then also the
You
spot
can't
on
go
the,
fish the bull shark part. You're going to get
Yeah.
Goliath group.
also the spot on the Juneau Ledge is terrible.
You want to catch one, and then you
Yeah, the Juneau Ledge too is also a well-known shark spot. People are out there daily shark diving, and they have shark cages in the water, and people are constantly out there feeding them. So I think they're really, you know, they know they're smart. Then they know us humans now, and they're, you know, they see people daily. So and people are just constantly giving them carcasses. So I think it's a combination of those two things. But it's terrible. Because those sharks, when they're aggressive in the summertime, they start to eat the engine cowling for whatever reason. They get really aggressive and fired up, and they're trying to chew on the side of the boat, and you're like, oh no, we got to get out of here. Like, these sharks are bad. And we have videos of that too, of them actually like eating the engine cowling. I guess the little electric the electric thing back there that's going on confuses them, and they kind of go up to it and they start chewing it, and it's like, that's not good. We got to get out of here. So, any more questions?
Yeah.
Questions?
Anything about Florida spots?
Yes.
I gotta ask this. Watched a video a couple months
Oh
ago.
no.
You guys cleaned and ate a remora.
We did.
That was
And you
delicious.
said it was good.
It was.
Are you?
Now, this is the realities of filming.
Go.
If we go out there and we go fishing,
We don't catch
and we don't catch any
fish.
fish,
You don't
I
have
gotta make a
money.
video, otherwise it's like you guys going to work and not making any money.
I just, no,
But it was good.
No,
It was
that's fine.
good.
I just had never heard of anybody
Yeah.
caught one. You get them all the time. I hate
Yeah.
those suckers.
Yeah.
You know, they come up, grab the bait.
Yeah.
No, it was actually good.
It
what
was
did
pretty
it
good.
taste? What did it taste similar to?
A cobia.
Like cobia.
Yeah.
It looked like Kobe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty
pretty
good.
shocking. Like I was actually like as soon as we caught that thing, I'm like I have to eat this for dinner.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
what the heck? I was not happy. Like I like to catch fish. Like taking a remora home is just like pathetic to me. But like I know I gotta make a video too, so then I have to think about the rest of the world, and like people might want to see that, and people might think that's cool, and like well,
Right.
let's try it. So I have to think differently about it. But for me, it was just like painstakingly terrible. And it was like
chef, right?
yeah. Yeah, but it was pretty
That was,
good.
it was better
And
than
then
some
I
of the
read-
other fish we've eaten.
Yeah,
let
and
me
then
tell
I
you.
read it online, and
Like
it said
bonitas and
their main source of food is like eating like other fish's feces. I'm like,
Right.
great, we're eating a fish that eats poop for a living. Like, what the heck? But it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I'm not doing it again. It was pretty good.
Funny thing is, when you see somebody at the dock and they tell you they caught a Kobe.
Right, right.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah,
like, look like Kobe, and they're going,
yeah,
enjoy.
yeah. I hate that. Usually the last two cobia we caught, they were just short of being keepers, like within 2 inches. And we're like, no, why? And then we got really sick. But it's funny.
Anything else?
Any more
Don't be
questions?
shy.
Questions?
Anything about Florida? Other spots, places to go?
Yeah, any questions?
Go ahead.
How'd you guys meet?
Oh, that's fine. No
Yeah,
problem.
that's fine. Go ahead.
Go ahead, my job. All
Oh.
right. We met at work, basically.
Yeah.
I was an attorney by trade for many years, and I was working
Real
at this
estate attorney.
real estate attorney. I was working at this firm in Boca, and she got a job initially as the front desk receptionist in this building, and that's the story. And then
Yeah.
we went on a date to Chili's. No, what was
Yeah.
our first date? Chili's?
Friday?
It was memorable.
No, it was
Yeah, it was chilly.
Applebee's and Chili's. Anyway,
Applebee's, that's it.
Applebee's. We had a beer.
We've been together 8 years now, so
And
we've
then,
been together a
yeah.
long time. But I worked at that office. I worked at that office 5 years. He was there a little longer, and I like worked my way up from being a receptionist. By the time I was done there, I was like the jack of all trades. I did everything
Like
for
the
that
office manager.
office. Yeah, I did the wiring the checks, paid the realtors. I did everything. And then we walked in together one day, and we told the boss we were quitting.
Yeah.
And they knew. They kind of knew. Like like, well, I busted my butt at work every single day. I mean, I stayed late every day, like working. I never took any lunches by the time I left. I worked my butt off for them. He, on the other hand, was like posting on my Facebook page during the day and like posting our content and stuff while we were there. And my boss had a couple talks with me and he's like, you better stop posting during the day. And I'm like, I promise I'm not. Like, I'm working hard, but he doesn't see that. He thinks I'm posting and not working, but it's really him doing that. So it was funny because I got like, you know, like whatever. I had some talks with him about it during the day, and I just kind of told him that, like, you can schedule posts on social media. What are you talking about? Like, I just schedule those ahead of time. Like, I'm not posting. But meanwhile, he's not working during the day. He's doing social media all day. So it's pretty funny, and I'm the one busting my butt. But we told him, and they had a feeling. So, but it was cool. Get to follow my dreams
So that's how we met.
myself.
Gotta know.
Okay.
Yeah. This
Another
is-
personal question, I hope?
Kind of. Just want to drive everybody in this club crazy since we live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you get up in the morning and you're ready to go fishing. How long does it take you to get the boat in the water and head out?
Oh.
Depends on where we're going. But
Well, no, well, yeah, well, depends where we're going, but I mean, they want the closest. So we live about, I don't know, a mile or two from the ramp. And we go, you know, we go down the ramp, we dump it in, because we only go fishing during the week.
yeah,
We go during the weekend,
usually-
dump it in, and the ramp is a quarter mile from the Boynton Beach Inlet. And then, as we said, you know, it gets really deep really fast. At the international 3 mile line, it's 500 feet deep, which we never go that far ever for normal fishing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a mile in the car, it's a quarter mile to the ocean, and it's a mile out in the ocean.
Yeah.
We used to, before we quit our jobs, we would go wahoo, high-speed trolling for wahoo before work,
Sick.
catch a wahoo, and be at work at 9 a.m. in the morning.
It was sick. We did that a
Crazy.
couple times,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we've been doing a lot more Stewart fishing as well lately. There's a
Yeah,
lot
Stewart's
more
like an
fish.
hour, but.
Yeah, there's a lot more fish at Stewart. And right now we have, you know, the pompano are running right now, the sheep's head are up there, the triple tailor inshore. So we've been trying to hit there more often. But like we'll have a full day in Stewart. We'll usually get up at 4 a.m., leave the house by 5 a.m., get to Stewart by 6 a.m., have the boat in the water, and we fish usually till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we want to beat traffic on the way home, and then we get home about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I'm cleaning up the boat. That's done by 6, and then we had a full 12-hour day on the water. So I
Following
mean,
that
you know.
timetable, we can kind of be just to the south of Atlanta after traffic.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, like Darcy
Yeah.
said, you know, the Gulf Stream comes the closest of anywhere, you know, particularly in Boynton is the closest, almost too close. Because we don't have
Really
anywhere,
close.
there's no
Yeah.
shelf at all.
We don't have any flats or a ledge or
Yeah,
anywhere to
sure.
hold bait.
Our Savannah trip in May, the big thing is hitting the Gulf Stream for the Mahi.
It was
I mean,
like
it's on
50,
fire
30,
out there in
50?
early May,
Yeah.
60, 65
Wow.
miles.
No, the
Wow.
Gulf Stream's like 7 miles offshore.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
crazy.
the reef is.
Save a ton of money on fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're lucky.
Yeah. Well, that's the other, that also, you know, if you guys have been down to Palm Beach, the flip side of that is everybody in their dinghy can go out there and go fishing. You know,
Yeah.
so you go fishing out there.
Everyone's out
And,
there.
you know, you got flats boats out there and kayaks and the tiniest boats. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're just killing all the fish and catching all the
Yeah.
fish and the whole thing gets so
on
crowded.
a typical
you know,
weekend,
it's crazy.
it's a parking lot out there, especially in nice conditions.
Right.
It's a legit
You guys been
parking
on the
lot.
ledge on
Boats
a
on top
Saturday?
of
It's
each
crazy.
other. The commercial fishermen are running over our lines, coming right up on your boat. They don't care. They're doing their job. They're circling and running around everyone's boat that's out there fishing. It's mayhem. It's a mess out there. And you're competing with all the other boats, so it's no fun. I mean,
It's like Lake Lanier.
it
on
sucks.
weekends.
Yeah, it sucks. It is. It sucks.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, so that's why we really, yeah,
Monday.
Mondays it's like no one's out there. Tuesday there's a little more people, and then by Friday it's really busy, and then the weekend's busy, and then it goes down to no one again. So we kind of like figured out the days to go. But also sometimes it's dependent on the weather too. So sometimes we can't fish during the week, and sometimes we're resorted to weekend fishing, but it's very rare. So you know we try not to do that. So.
Right. Notice when you catch bonita, that's de facto bait.
Yeah.
Why?
You know, everyone has different tastes, I guess, is the only answer to that. You know, in other places, in other countries, they'll eat, you know, anything, and, you know, they're not quite as picky as us Americans are, I think. But, you know, to us, you know, there's a lot of other fish to eat. And bonitos to us, you know, I know they say you can bleed them and freeze them
Yeah.
or cold them, you know, chill them down really fast. And people love them in other places and swear by them, but,
They don't taste good.
yeah, I mean, to us,
To
you know, a lot of the fish,
compared to all
you know,
the
maybe
other
that's
fish we
just
catch,
cultural,
they
you know, I don't know
taste
what
good.
it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, we use them for shark bait and strips, like you put a wahoo. You know, it's a great feeling. You get your bonita one day, and Darcy cleans it and makes a strip, and then you put it on your sea witch,
You catch a
and
wahoo.
you catch a wahoo. You know, that's really great too. But,
Pretty sick. Yeah.
You ever caught a
it's just a-
swordfish?
No, that is We've been on a few boats trying to do that. We don't have any sword fishing equipment. We don't do any type of deep dropping. That's something I've been trying to get into for a few years now. I don't know why we still haven't done it, but it's a way for us to go out there, especially when there's no bite out there, to go deep drop. But not yet. That is a bucket list fish for me.
You have to go from where you're at, you have to go to the Keys to swordfish.
Yes, we've
No,
done
they-
that a few
No,
They
times.
would have to go 5 miles.
Yeah, we've done that
They
a few
catch some out from
times.
you?
Yeah, right about 10 miles out or so, they start catching them.
Yeah, there's a
Wow.
couple guys that catch them consistently.
There's a guy out of Boynton who catches more swordfish than anybody.
Yeah.
Like
It's a
small
great,
ones, pups, but
but you only have to go 5 miles.
Well,
Yeah.
well, 10 for that?
Yeah, you
Like
don't know.
1,000 foot,
10.
yeah, no, it's super close.
yeah,
To go far.
yeah, but still.
Yeah, in the Keys you go much further than that, you go
Yeah.
like 20 or
The Keys,
30.
we've gone on a few trips, had some bites, but nothing, never caught one. So one day, that'll be in a video.
Yeah.
I would love to harpoon
When you're
one.
making the bonita strips, do you salt them or do you just use a strip?
No, we salt them, and what's the other stuff, baking powder? Soda?
Yeah, we make kind of like a brine, and then I mean, as soon as you catch the bonita, you have to take care of him, like put him on
Right.
ice and take
Just
care
like a
of him,
regular
don't leave
fish.
him out in the sun, just like a regular fish. And then you fillet him off, and these videos are actually on my IGTV.
She's an IGTV video all about
And
that.
Facebook. IGTV is Instagram TV. There's like a video section there on my page that you can check out. There's a whole thing on it, and I like show how to fillet it and how to skin it and all that good stuff, and how to put the salt on it, and then you put it in the fridge for a couple days to get it real nice and dry, and then we just vacuum seal it.
Yeah,
And-
the biggest trick I wasn't doing a good job of those over the last several years, and then really the big trick she just mentioned is to put them in your refrigerator, like on, on whatever, we use a cardboard box, like a soda box or whatever, and that really kind of dehydrates them or dries them out overnight, and then they come out really good. So that, instead of just putting them in the vacuum right after you cut them, and throwing salt on there and baking powder, dry them overnight, that really has helped made a huge difference. So that's the tip there.
I saw a trip y'all did at West End, Bahamas. Have you done any other Bahama trips over there?
Yeah, we have a whole series in Andros, like 5 or 6 days.
Okay.
Mahi, like 2 or 3 daes of fly fishing for bonefish. Caught our first bonefish with Crazy Charlie's son, which was an incredible trip.
Well, nobody
And-
knows who Crazy Charlie is, but.
Oh, well, the fly fishing.
The
dude.
fly fishing
Anyway, he's like the
girls,
top fly
yeah.
fishing bonefish guy from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
He's like a legend. And we've been to Bimini 2 or 3 times, including Wahoo tournaments over there. So again, Darcizzle Bimini or Darcizzle Bahamas, you'll get them all.
Yeah, quite a few.
Have you talked to anyone about or decided to or not to do a TV show?
We're not really into the TV show scene.
Over the years.
I don't know if I'll say anything bad.
Yeah. Over the years, we've been contacted by so many companies, it's not even funny, and nothing has gone through with any of it, but go ahead.
I mean, we really think that's kind of like in the past. And, when Darcy started doing this, Darcy and I, we kind of, she was like the first one doing it, like literally. And Instagram is kind of new, she started posting. And besides Blacktip, we were literally the first people, with the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, and all that great stuff. And honestly, we get more views than them. Those shows are getting between 60 and 80,000 views per episode. They do 12 to 14 episodes a year. They pay, the business model for that, for all these cable shows, unless you're on Discovery or Wicked Tuna or something like that, they're paying about $250 grand for the opportunity to be on TV. So to us, they're kind of buying the fans. So they get the airtime, and then they got to go make a business out of it and sell to all these sponsors and do whatever they got to do to pay that money and pay themselves, and then produce these videos. And then they're just highlight reels. That's not what we're trying to do. Social
Makes
media,
sense.
we feel, and why people watch YouTube, and everyone watching YouTube these days. Everybody from her age down is now watching television. They're not watching Blair Wiggins. They're not watching George Polveromo or Rick Murphy or whoever the heck it is. They're watching her and all these other people. So we try and keep it real. We try and get out there with the fans. We respond to comments, and it's really quite a big distinction. And we really think it's just it's the future. And we don't.
Yeah.
We went to, an example, we just went to SHOT Show, which is the biggest gun show in the whole wide world, and she got flown there by one of our sponsors, and they brought one of the cable TV guys who they sponsor, and no one knew the guy. No one recognized the guy, and meanwhile, a bunch of, it wasn't her niche, it's a hunting show, but she was getting recognized all the time. So, again, she has over 100 million views on YouTube. There's not a cable TV fishing show that has 100 million views, I'm telling you right now. Because I've done the research. I know I play kind of a clown on TV, but I've been an attorney for 25 years. I went to good schools. I know, I've looked into it.
Yeah, yeah. And over the years, we've been contacted by these production companies, and majority of the time they have this idea, and majority of the ideas is something about being with a group of girls and
Right.
doing something with the group, and it's like, I'm not doing that girl thing. Like, I'm not being part of this bikini girl thing. I'm not doing any of this. Like, I'm a serious fisherman. I'm not part of a group of girls. I'm me. So it kind of like, none of those things ever worked out, and there's a reason why. So, you know, we'd rather focus on our videos, and he's in the videos more now, and people love it, and the interaction between us two, and yeah, keep it real, like you said, really show you guys like what we're doing out there, and again, we're not the experts in the world, we're not the best fishermen, we never said that, but we're, you know, sharing our adventures with
Yeah, we're just sharing what we do with folks, and they seem to.
Hats off to your production because, you know, not that your original ones were bad.
No, they were bad.
They were bad.
But your
real
new
bad.
ones are so good.
Thank you.
They're really good, and you were a little awkward speaking before.
Yeah.
I think a little bit, you really smoothed it out, and
Yeah.
you're very good on the camera now.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank
You know, Darcy is, you know, she's a shy person by nature.
I
And
am.
she, when we started doing this camera stuff, you know, there were a lot of guys who grew up on Instagram and stuff, like, you know, the Guggen Squad, and some other guys who were really good on camera right away. And, you know, that was a skill she had to learn. I did not go to school to be a photographer. You know, if you want me to read something, I'm gonna read the hell out of it, all right? But,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't go to camera school or video school or editing school. You know, I had to learn all this stuff, and it's still not like my favorite thing to do in the whole wide world. But we're doing it, we're having a great time, and so it has been totally a progression, and we're
Yeah.
taking everybody with us.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much.
I like the new graphic you have that open and closes.
Yes.
That's our new logo.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're
I
trying, you
think the
know,
best thing is just continue to be authentic. That's what's so cool. You're just
Thank you.
authentic.
Yeah.
You're real people, like
Yeah.
all of us.
Thank you.
That's what makes
Yeah,
you
that's-
successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that even
Yeah,
when
that
you,
new logo and those new transitions, we hired somebody and paid a lot of money to have that really nice
Yeah.
stuff made and that
It
brand
really,
new logo
it really
and
brought
stuff.
the professional edge of your video.
Thank
up
you.
in
Yeah,
those
we love it.
transitions.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do better, you know,
yeah.
we're just trying to
Yeah.
improve all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then just so you guys know too, like our older videos from 8 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, they suck. Like they're terrible. And you can actually like go back and see. Like I'm not gonna watch any of them for the rest of my life because I'm so embarrassed by them. But like we have
watched one the other day,
we
I
have
was like, oh.
700 videos, and you can like go like you can click on like the thing and go oldest to newest and watch
Right.
some of our old ones and really see the progression of what we've done over the years because it's incredible. Like I was totally terrible, monotone on camera, just terrible on camera. Like you'll really see it and be like, holy crap, like that's the her. Like it's crazy what we've done over the years. And same with him, like that photography, and now him on camera too. He was speaking real fast before with his New York accent. Now a lot more people can understand him, but like we're still learning though.
It's
Like,
true.
He's one of the fastest photographers of life. Like he's so fast, but.
No, really,
But
before
we're
it
all
was kind
still
of like
learning,
a
which is a cool thing.
news reporter came up to you and asked you a question. Now you're actually, it's like a production. It's the way you
Right.
speak and
Yeah.
the production of the videos and everything is, not that they were terrible before, but they're really smooth now and,
Thank
and
you.
the production's really good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Way better than
We're
ours.
learning, thank you.
Yeah, we're still learning, which is the cool thing. We're always learning.
Right,
And I've learned, I
Yeah.
bought, used Barrett rods.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I met, I bought like 10 rods from Peter.
Oh,
now.
wow.
Oh,
I
sick.
saw him on your channel first,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I went to Stewart
Awesome.
3 years ago, and I met him there. He had dinner with us, and he brought
Oh, wow.
my
Awesome.
he brought my second rod to me because I was going to be so close.
Yeah.
And we talked to him, and he gave us some
That's
pointers
awesome.
on where to fish and stuff. But since then, I think I bought 10
Wow.
from him, all custom rods.
Nice.
He's great. He's a
And
great
then
guy.
same thing with when I emailed you guys the other day on the swell program. I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
that
right.
your video on that,
Yeah.
and I actually had a Mavic drone, and I crashed it into a tree and destroyed it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I should get a saltwater one that I can just
Yeah.
throw in the water, and it's not near as good of a drone, and it's like clunky compared to
Yeah, it is.
to
Yeah.
a DJI drone,
Yeah.
but I can throw it in the water like a frisbee, and
Right, right.
I don't have to worry about crashing. Since I'm a bad
Right.
drone pilot,
Right,
I-
it's awesome.
I need one I can
Yeah,
land
Yeah,
in
that's
the water.
just,
so cool.
just take it slow and be super conservative until you get a
Yeah.
little better with the drone.
I just had Barrett build him a bunch of rods for his Christmas
Yeah.
presents and birthday presents too.
Yeah, Peter's a
So
good guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
He just built a few for me and changed swivel tips, and he changed 2 of his rods he originally built for me, a shark rod and a
Nice.
tuna rod. He changed them out to converter butts for me,
Oh, nice.
and built a gaff for me that's painted like golfing.
Sick.
Oh, neat.
And
Sick.
he did
I
that
love his
like
work.
a few months ago.
Yeah.
We got like 4 or 5 videos with him if you know, if you Google that.
We do, shark
Yeah.
fishing videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Anybody else?
Yes, any more questions?
Keep talking about your tackle, though. That's nice.
Tackle? I will,
Send
I will.
fish.
Yes,
And detail like we've seen, that's catching on too.
yes, yeah.
Seeing a couple other sites, they're starting to follow.
Yes,
Doing
we're,
that.
yeah, we're usually like the only people that actually show you the true fishing and like the true setups and talk about the reels and the rods and the combos and what we're actually doing. And a lot of YouTubers and people in our niche leave that stuff out completely. And we really feel like that's important for y'all to know. So thank you. We'll definitely keep on doing that. That's what we hear from a lot of people who said.
Right.
what
We're
you
trying to,
said.
we're trying to add value all the time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Bring you guys value and awesome content. So.
Yeah, before we wrap up, Don Myers, I don't know, actually made all this happen. Now,
Yes.
Don emails and calls me a lot, so I know he pestered you into submission. But it worked.
No.
It worked. Brian dealt with it. Brian, I did it. He did it, not me. No, I'm not taking credit.
No less than 70 or 80. Back and forth.
But,
Like 5 or 6 today even. It's
He's-
like, you know.
He said your nickname is Don. Email Don.
Email Don, Nicole. He
Email Don.
doesn't text. How come you don't text Don?
Email Don.
but no, that's good. We appreciate y'all coming, and this
Thank
has
you.
been great, and appreciate Don making it happen.
Yeah, we're excited.
All right, well, thank you very much for
Thank
inviting
you,
us down.
guys.
It's quite an honor.
Okay, so we officially gave Darcy and Brian a full-time permanent membership to our club. The only person that we have, only other permanent member that we have like that is George Poveromo.
Oh, okay.
So you two and George are the only two permanent honorary, non-paying. No, it's free. Because you add value to our club and be a part of our club, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's awesome.
We have a little thing for you, Brian.
Yeah, I figured. That's good.
Thank you.
We got our
Sick.
club logo on there.
Oh, that's great.
Sick.
The
Thank you
band?
so much.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind,
Awesome
one
gift.
benefit of being an honorary member of the club,
Uh-huh.
you're welcome in tournaments. Now, when you really want to expand your horizons and learn about the Redneck Riviera,
Yeah.
come up to the Panhandle where we rule.
We have to.
Yeah.
That's definitely on the list.
We have,
Yeah, we're
that's
dialed-
one place
we're dialed
I've
in
never
there.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
You need a really
Gotta
good
go.
red snapper video.
yeah.
We do.
We gotta go.
We don't have, I don't think we have, I mean, she's caught them, but no specific video.
No.
We don't have them. like this.
Yeah.
They're the fish of it.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
done the Grand Isle fishing before, but we've never gone to the
We
Panhandle.
love Grand Isle.
Yeah.
I was there, there was only one tournament per year, but I was in 2019, I fished there 4 times.
Wow, good for you.
Wow.
So
That's
I
quite a trip
just
too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yes. He's a big
He watches the videos.
Yeah, we got a big
Yeah, we
ticket.
did Soul Fest. I think I took
We
him
got a
to
big
see.
ticket going over that bridge.
Yeah.
But we did the Swole Fest thing.
Yeah.
That was sick. Yeah. Sick.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for the gifts. That's awesome.
Y'all give Darcy and Brian a big hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month.